Jordan.
And I'm Maddie.
And together, they were cops. No, we're not. We're not. We're just sisters
We're
who like
sisters.
to. We like to watch.
We're not.
We
We
like
do like to watch
things.
We like to watch shows and movies.
We're just sisters who just want to stay home and pet fluffy guys.
Sisters.
And, yeah. When a certain gentleman arrived from Rome, neither of us wore the dress, and we both stayed home. Okay, I'm sweating.
Okay. Welcome to the first ever episode of The Power of Two Will Do Nothing for You, a podcast where we will review every single episode of the show Charmed. And no, not the remake, because no. Do I have to say anything else? Remakes are a no.
I don't think they're always a no, but I think in this case, it's a no.
Yes, correct. I think the nation said it was a no. Right. But we're going to talk about the original Charmed.
Well, also, frankly, the gals said it was a no. And
That's true.
am team.
You mean the original
gals.
Charmed gals?
Yes,
the original Charmed gals.
In particular, Holly Marie Combs, I trust.
Oh, she was not into it.
They all were not into it.
Well, because they were like iced out, weren't they? Kind of.
Yes,
like, and not included.
There's like this narrative that like, because if you're gonna do a remake, it should be like Sex and the City-esque, where it's about them.
Yeah.
Like, I think
it's
Holly
like
Marie, I would have to look it up, but I think Holly Marie Combs said something to the nature of like, why there's basically this narrative that like they were too old or like irrelevant to like be the stars of it, which is ridiculous. But also there was a whole narrative that they were gonna like make the feminist version of Charmed, which I think on the one hand, like, yes, there were definitely things about Charmed that were problematic in a lot of directions, given the time it was made and some of the...
And who was making it.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the people making the show were not women. Nobody was pagan.
Yeah.
Nobody was queer to my knowledge. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very... Inevitably, when you have... And I think this shows through on, like, most of our shows, even now. If everybody making a show is coming from the same lens.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be as rich. And it's not going to be, there's nobody in the room saying, hey, why are they always talking about how single they are? Like, is that really how women are? Is that really how these women would be? You know?
Yeah.
Or like how they're always like, what's going on? They're never like, okay, this is obviously magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So, they never act like empowered fully.
So on the one hand, I get it. Like, of course, there are ways that Charmed could be made more feminist, especially now. It's been however many years. But on the other hand, it's just rude and disrespectful, especially because this is your source material, to disregard the fact that Charmed was very feminist. Like, there were very feminist roots. You know what I mean?
It was a big step forward.
Of course.
You know, it's not perfect.
Yes. And like there used to be like a narrative that like women couldn't be the lead in a show, which is insane.
Especially three women. Like,
I just think that it's disrespectful. And I think more than anything, like if you are going to remake something, the original actors, especially because, you know, I always say that like every show that really hits, it hits for a different reason. Like some shows, in my opinion, just hit because of what's backing them. Like example, Game of Thrones. If a show gets enough press, it'll go. But like a show like this, the writing is good. All the elements of the show are good, but the thing that really took it there is the actors.
Yeah.
Because without them,
those three women
it could be very hokey. Yeah, like their chemistry, their commitment, their ability to like act these very unreal circumstances without it being like a joke.
Yeah.
Is really, it's on them. So it's messed up to do a remake and basically be like, you guys aren't good enough, or you're too old, or you're irrelevant, or whatever it is to even have a scene. That's weird.
Yeah,
that's
it's basically
disrespectful.
Like, thank you for giving us this iconic thing.
Right.
Now please go away while we make a new, better version because we don't like your version. It's like, what?
Yeah,
it's just rude.
It's just uncool. So those are our feelings about the remake.
So we're going to be reviewing the OG Charmed episode by episode. This is our first one, something Wicca This Way Comes.
So what's your Charmed history?
Yeah, so talking about why we're doing this. Obviously, we're big fans of Charmed already just from discussing that remake situation. But yeah, I was born in 97, you know, good old Gen Zennial in between the generations. You know, I grew up with this show just on in the background on the TV reruns, you know, good old cable. You kids today don't know cable, but if you're listening to this, you're probably not a kid. But yeah, so I just grew up with this show always on, and it was just part of my life.
You're welcome to be here.
Yeah, if you're a kid, you can be.
But we will swear.
But I'm gonna
because
swear.
I couldn't get Maddie to not swear. Oh my god.
I like to swear. But yeah, so I never I grew up having it on a lot. It was just like a staple of my childhood, always on the TV. But I had never really fully watched the show from start to finish until I became an adult and I watched it with Jordan. Like we watched it together. Like that was my first time really watching it, probably like 5 years ago. But I had seen mostly the later seasons because I was born in 97. So the show started in 98 and I was really young and, I couldn't conceptualize what was happening with these women. I'm just a kid, I'm watching like Dragon Tales and shit. So I didn't watch it until later. And the later seasons are really
Let's go to Dragonland.
the later seasons of the show are really what I remember more strongly, which, I won't say too much about because spoilers, we'll get there. But yeah, so I only watched it later, but I've always loved this show and it's a big staple of my childhood, even though I didn't fully watch the whole thing until I was an adult. But I know you were older.
Yes.
So you
I myself was born in 93, representing the millennial people of the nation.
Yes.
And yes, I have that good old millennial self-hate too. So we'll yeah.
Classic.
Yes, you have the Gen Z audacity and I have the millennial self-hate. It's pretty on brand.
And together they were cops.
Right. But they'd never be cops. But they don't together they were
private PIs?
Abolitionists? No. Abolitionists? I don't know.
Oh my God.
Anyway, for me, like peak Charmed is like season 3, season 4. I think just because that's when I was sort of like becoming conscious as a human person. That's what was on. I remember watching it with my mom. And then once I was a teenager, I kind of rewatched it on my own, a lonely teen who didn't know what was going on.
No.
All my friends started dating men and I was sort of like, what's going on there? I don't think I want to. And that's because I'm gay. But that took some time. So
lovely.
In true gay fashion, I just was like watching Buffy, watching Charmed, had the DVD box set. And listen, kids, if you don't know, you had to confront yourself. You had to be like, damn, I got to switch the disc. This is serious. It was also great for hyperfixations because, there's like a commentary here. There's a deleted scene there.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
Love a DVD bonus.
Right, exactly. DVD bonus features.
The kids don't even know about the bonus features.
Highly recommend you get a DVD box set because one thing I was thinking about is like in the event of an apocalypse, but maybe you got solar panels, maybe you got electricity, who knows? You aren't going to be able to get on your little streaming services, but maybe you could watch a box set. I don't know. You might be left with your box sets of 90s shows. So that's my suggestion. Also, quick sidebar.
Doomsday Prepper, but box sets of shows.
Right, that's me. Constance Burge, who created the show, wrote the pilot, also wrote on a number of things, but the one that stood out to me was Judging Amy, bitch, because I love Judging Amy and it is lost to the abyss.
Oh my
Whatever.
God,
Shout
you
out
can't
to
find
that.
it anywhere.
So yeah, that's my Charmed history. Lonely gal. These are my only friends. I want to be Alyssa Milano or I love Alyssa Milano or both, but I think mostly I want to be her.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get into the actual pilot, so you know me, a little bit of a research deep dive as
yes.
always,
She's
especially
our
like
research gal.
the acting, writing, like the making it elements. I discovered because I was reading the script, right, the original script, and there were all these notes about like blue reshoot, white reshoot, there were a lot of reshoots. So I was like, what are we reshooting? And back in these days, especially, there were like lots of recasting in pilots. So I discovered that there was a whole unaired pilot.
Oh.
So yeah, there was a whole other Phoebe.
What?
Which is crazy.
That's not Phoebe. She's got it pulled up. She's ready. It's so funny because when something gets recast, you just realize like, wow, this is so right and it could have been so wrong.
Yeah, and it's funny too because it's not like she was recast. I assumed that they were just like, oh, we don't love this, or it's not quite right, or
Yeah.
we want someone like famous already,
Yeah.
like Alyssa Milano. But apparently she left like of her own for some reason. Who
Which is
knows?
so
Like we
kooky.
still don't really know, which is interesting and kind of nuts. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so they cast Alyssa Milano.
Wow.
And it's interesting too because like all three of these ladies have history.
Yeah.
Like Shannon Doherty and Holly Marie Combs had known each other for like 10 years.
Yeah.
They had the same like management. Alyssa Milano and Shannon Doherty had known each other because they were both like, teen child
Child stars.
actors. Yeah. So that's why they have that chemistry. That's why, and I think that that'll be more relevant as we go along and we have, real life conflicts with each other. But
Real life conflicts.
I
Yes,
do
the drama
think,
behind the
oh
scenes.
my God. And also in this unaired pilot, Andy and Daryl are
They're
different.
Different cops. The person is that supposed to be Daryl?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I know.
Gross. That's not Daryl. Wow. The way they're not right at all.
I know.
The cat's the same though.
Of course.
The cat actor's the same. You can't recast a perfect cat.
No, yeah. And it's one of those things, where like, especially like I'm pretty sensitive to this kind of like, I would never want to be like, you're terrible. Cause that's not the vibe. Like if you got cast in this, you're not bad. It's just when you've seen something the way it was like supposed to be, like that magic
feel
was like,
how wrong
LOL,
it
that
is.
magic. But yeah, that magic was like captured.
That
and
magic.
How
Yeah.
that wasn't
That
it.
is funny.
Yeah,
That's
so that's
crazy.
my little share about the unaired pilot that I didn't know existed.
Wow. The whole concept of like filming a whole episode of a show and then being like, we're doing it again.
I
Makes
know.
me want to cry.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't reshoot the things that didn't have Phoebe in them.
True,
so
true,
It's
true,
not
true.
the worst
Yeah,
thing in the world.
didn't think about
'cause
that.
Mostly, there weren't that many things that had to be reshot, but
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Well, something Wicca This Way Comes.
yeah. Oh,
Let's get
and
into
I
this.
wanted to give a little shout out to Lonnie Partridge, who plays Woman. This opening woman. And I'm just
Woman.
saying, it's like, again, actory stuff, but this was probably like a whole auditioning situation for her. This was like a big deal that she got, like she's the first
Yeah.
face seen in Charmed. So that's pretty cool.
It's like the opening scene of the whole show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to say, I'm really jealous of her ability to light the candles with her finger. That would be very convenient. I wouldn't have to buy any more lighters. I
Yeah,
could just
honestly.
boop.
Or I wouldn't be like
Boop.
losing the charger to my rechargeable
Lighter. And it
which
also
I
looks
do like. It's
really
my job.
cool.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. How do you
Yeah,
feel about the
and-
spell?
Yes, as as the person who will complain about everything that is incorrect about witchcraft and paganism and Wicca, I actually will say that this little opening ritual that she does is pretty good. I really don't have problems with it. I don't know if it's like what we would qualify this as because I don't know what the point of what she's doing is, but like the little chant she says and the little arm movements she does are actually really, really good. Like well researched. This actor is serving,
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. I don't have any complaints.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's somebody spooky creeping up behind us though, waiting to jump scare us.
Yeah, I don't know.
And we act like we know him, but then he
Obviously,
stabs us
yeah.
in the gut
and we're dead.
and we're dead.
Yeah, we've served our purpose.
Wow.
But
And just like that, woman's gone.
woman's and we're left with uncredited actor Cap.
Uncredited actor.
Oh my gosh! So we get this like opening shot of the house, which I love because I love this
the
house.
Iconic house.
Mm-hmm.
And we're having
you
a
can go
spooky
see
storm.
it in Echo Park, but then don't go see it because it just shatters the
them
magic.
alone. Yeah.
Like it's not real.
It's not the same.
No, to me it's real, and they're still in there.
And there's an alternate reality.
Right, and
Yeah.
maybe they're like their identities are cloaked. That's kind of I'm not gonna. Say
Oh
anything
God,
else.
you're gonna break my
I'm
brain.
not gonna say anything else.
I'm not gonna say anything else.
Because of later seasons.
Oh, and here we go with the bangs.
Right. Yeah, my first thought in this situation is their hair.
Their hair.
Their
The
hair.
hair of the 90s
every time
and
I see
2000s.
this, like even the image on the season 1 DVD box set,
Yes.
I'm like, what's going on with the hair? I feel like I get that it's the 90s. I also get that it's like, I think we're trying to make us look younger. We're trying to make us look like sisters. So they must have been like, oh, little wispy bangs. We're sisters now. But yeah, it's funny to me.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it is definitely, we're serving the hair of the 90s and 2000s. And we've got this spirit board.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the inscription on the back, and we don't know what it could possibly mean.
Oh my God.
What does it mean? The power of 3, what's that? Perhaps we will find out.
Oh, yeah, the Ouija board spells something out at the end there, which I honestly didn't even notice.
What does it
I'm not
spell?
gonna lie to you. I don't know.
Oh, as we're fading into black?
Oh my
yeah,
God.
and we're immediately setting up the sister dynamic of like,
Yeah.
we're annoyed with our baby sister
No,
who we
she
haven't
hasn't
met
shown-
yet.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We're talking shit about her while Prue's talking shit. And clearly we got that real strong middle sibling vibe coming from Piper
Of
and
course.
real strong older sister vibe coming from Prue.
Yeah.
She's
I do
taking
need to
care
say,
of
though,
everybody.
this is important to me. You know I love...
The
Yes.
vibey music.
The jingle jangles is what I call it.
The
like
jingle
weird
jangles.
royalty free whatever's going on here.
Love it.
Yeah, I love
it is the vibe. It's exactly right.
Yes, and you know, again,
Is the theme song in this episode?
no, I don't know that it's
No,
in
it's
season
only
1.
in. What do you mean?
Oh, is it?
It's on the DVD.
Okay, well maybe see because here's the thing. This is on Peacock.
Yeah, we
And
need
when
to
you watch
address
it,
the differences.
yeah. When you watch it on, because I had watched it before on Amazon, because I had purchased it. Maybe I don't know. And you know, we talked about this. It's like got in there some really horrible songs in replacement for the songs they obviously like couldn't get or wouldn't get the rights to, and it's hilarious. A lot of them are like songs that you literally can't even find.
Yeah,
anywhere.
that's so funny. Yeah,
So
because
I don't know. I'm not clear yet if
'cause I
on
watched
Peacock
the-
which version it is.
Yeah, I watched this episode on the DVD box set, and you watched it on Peacock, right?
Yeah.
And in the DVD box set, after that scene where Prue and Piper are talking about Phoebe, and it's like storming, and then as we fade off into the darkness, the spirit board moves with nobody looking at it. It goes into the theme song on the DVD. So that must just be removed because of rights on like streaming services and stuff, which is a bum because the theme
It's
song
important.
is like literally my life. Like that, it's because it's a cover of the Smiths song, you know, but it's a song that's really good. And honestly, it's a good cover. But that is like what started my Smiths obsession
to me,
as
I
a
just
young
associate
person.
it with Charmed.
Oh my God.
So we get this scene with Daryl and Andy, who love Daryl and Andy. Go Daryl and Andy.
They were cops.
Right. Quick sidebar, because I wouldn't be me if I didn't mention this. And also this like will be important to me because, you know, inevitably there's a lot of law enforcement in this show because, you know, that happens. People get murdered. It's a demon. The cops don't know because they don't know demons and they don't really know anything. But whatever.
They don't know anything.
One thing that is like worth mentioning to me is, you know, as a kid watching this or watching anything, but, you know, we're talking about this, so relevant. You know, Andy is like this archetype of the way they always write cops, where it's like he's perfect. He really cares about the truth. He really cares about judging things before he has all the facts. Like he's just
he's like researching stuff.
Yeah, he cares. He's invested. He doesn't just like pick a storyline and then try to find things to fit that storyline. He's like, no, I care. I care about justice. It's you know, it's very American, this like narrative. And I just think it's valuable to mention like, hey,
cops,
that's not how it is. Yeah. That's like a romanticized version of that, which I think is it's important to me because as a like a little white girl, you know, all the media that I watched, that was what I had as truth.
Like a little white kid growing up, like I just stay in that little bubble of like, I can trust the cops. The cops know what they're doing. And then you grow up and you find out that's not true.
Yeah, it's not so simple. Anyway, so that's my tidbit about
But these fake
Andy.
cops
But
are great.
Andy is an angel.
We love these fake cops. Okay. But yeah, and in this scene between Daryl and Andy, oh my God, this begins many rants that will be on this pod of me talking about times that they mispronounce Wiccan and pagan words. And we're starting it off strong with athame. He's saying, well, did he have an athame? Did he use an athame? What the hell is an athame, Andy? Andy, explain to me what an athame is. It's an athame. It's an athame.
And it's just funny because like I just think I don't get how, whatever. When I first watched this with you, that was obviously like a big thing for you. You were like, what is that? And I was like, what do you mean? Things don't have to be, you can pronounce things differently. And because I had just like grown up with it and I really had never thought
Yeah.
About that word specifically, I just like didn't think anything of it. So
Yeah,
I
you
was like,
just
in
took
my
it
mind,
as
I was
like,
like,
okay.
athame. I think athame sounds better. I'm going to keep calling it an athame because I was like, these hoes got me attached to this word that they're completely pronouncing incorrectly.
Yeah, they just made up a word,
so
essentially.
that's kind of funny.
Yeah, but it is funny. I do wonder, like, did somebody just not know how to pronounce it because they weren't knowledgeable and they were like, athame, and so that's what everybody started saying? Or were they consciously like, let's make it sound more kooky? Let's make
There's
it
no
athame.
way that's why. Like,
Yeah,
I'm sure
it's
they
probably
just didn't know.
ignorance. But it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Really grinds my gears.
So we're back at the Stormy house, and Piper and Prue are doing their Piper and Prue thing.
Their sister dynamic.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
and-
talking about how Phoebe's moving back in.
Right.
And it's causing some drama because apparently Prue's mad at Phoebe. In true big sister, little sister fashion,
Yeah.
we have beef.
We have beef.
Because she gets to be a baby and Prue is a third parent.
Yeah, and that's what's funny is like it really is like I don't think this show ever would have worked without the three of them and their history / chemistry.
Yeah.
Like they just have instant sister chemistry and it works really well. And I'm sure that's like what ends up kind of coming up with Shannon Doherty and Alyssa Milano later is I think that really they're just literally these characters to some extent. And so these characters are
dynamic's
like
already
foils
there.
of each other. Yeah, even in the script it says that like Phoebe is 180 degrees from Prue.
That is,
And that's like kind of what feeds
that is exactly what's happening.
feeds the whole situation.
Yeah. Yeah, and in this little conversation where we kind of get a little bit of a glimpse, not too much, but like a little bit of a glimpse into why they were kind of fighting, Prue and Phoebe. And it seems like it was somewhat over a man, which is like, ew.
Yeah,
Gross.
that's like whatever.
That is one moment where I'm like, ew.
Yeah,
come
I mean,
on.
those moments
Like,
are in there.
Who
for
believes
sure.
a man over their sister?
I know.
No.
And also, like, it's funny too because, like, in the future, that's like never.
No, it's like this weird little tidbit at the beginning, and it never,
and I honestly
nothing
had
like
kinda
that
forgotten
happens
about
ever
that.
again. It's kind of like a weird blip.
Yeah, it's also so funny because because that's not the only thing. You know, there's like weird, like I think Prue's, you know, like a bitter toward Phoebe, and Phoebe just doesn't get it because younger siblings just can't get it.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when I was a teen and watching this, like gobbling it up, I was very like obsessed with Alyssa Milano, obsessed with Phoebe. So I was
Yeah.
sort of like saw myself as Phoebe, like wanted to be Phoebe. And it's funny now because as an adult, I look at it and I'm very team Prue. I'm like, Prue has to deal with so much and you're unreliable. It's just
Yeah.
how the turntables.
How the turntables. Oh my God. And when Piper sees she looks at the TV and she goes, "Hey, that's my boyfriend, Jeremy." I'm sorry. I just immediately want to jump into my bullying men and be like, Jeremy? Whose name's Jeremy? But yeah, I don't know. It just seems like a fake name. Seems like when I look at him, I'm like, your name's not Jeremy.
Oh my God.
And I might be right.
I hate you.
Oh, and in this scene, we get this line that I absolutely love. It's very sistery, and I was like, I'm going to steal that. Phoebe says to Piper, "Good point, Chicken Little." And I was like, what? Where did that come from? Like when you're writing that scene, that I don't know. I don't understand writers. I'm not a writer. I don't understand it, but I really liked it. It made me chuckle.
I mean, yeah, it's very like sistery.
Yeah.
Sistery.
Chicken
Like
Little?
there's history with that silly little tidbit.
Yeah. No, and then, Prue brings in, she's grumpy and she's mad at us, but she's still going to bring us a blankie. She's still our big sister, so she still cares about us, and she doesn't want us to be cold.
Oh, right, the blanket
doesn't
thing.
want us to
Yeah,
be
that's like
cold.
of course.
No, and then we're back to our cop friends. We're back to Andy and Daryl. And this makes me happy again because Andy actually is pretty well researched on this topic of the occult and witchcraft and all that. He's not
defending,
perfect,
yeah.
but he's defending us. He's defending us as a community, and he's not saying problematic shit. Daryl, on the other hand, he's got some growing to do. He calls us freaks in this scene. It's very disrespectful.
Right. I will say though, I definitely like, even the kitty loves Andy. Even the
kitty
kitty
loves Andy.
trusts
That's a
Andy
good
because
sign.
Andy's a good boy.
Yeah.
And you know what? Andy is like the sort that I would want to dislike, but I don't. He's just such a good
Every
boy.
time I try to dislike him, he wins me over.
Oh my gosh. And we get into the Ouija board.
Oh, we're at the Ouija board.
Which, initially my cynical gut wanted to be like a stupid Ouija board. But the reality of the situation is that is like,
It's a gateway.
I don't know. I also was like playing with a Ouija board with my friends as a teen. Like it was serious. We were
Yeah.
squealing. We were in a graveyard. All
the
the
stereotype
things.
is strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're messing with the Ouija board. And, as usual, we're acting like it's not real. We're belittling it. We're We're not taking it seriously. We're acting like it's not a big deal.
And of course it's Phoebe.
Yeah, Phoebe's, of course, the first person to experience any kind of magic.
And
she's
this was
open to
also
it.
one of the moments where I was like, because I like scrolled through bits of the unaired pilot, and I was like, wow, okay, yeah, Alyssa Milano like really brought a lot to this.
Yeah.
Because this is like kind of hokey if
Really?
you're not really giving. Yeah.
Yeah, this could be easily very cringe.
Yeah. And
Yeah, and her sisters don't believe her, of course, because she's the baby. But then they see it. Piper sees it.
I love this moment.
Boom. Yeah, she's
I
got
just think that's
it
so
spells
funny.
out attic. And the thing that gets me is that she can't remember 5 letters.
I know.
She's got to
gotta write it down.
ATTIC. She can't
And
just
then
like
flip it around
she
as
can't
a
just like
reveal.
watch that and,
then
be like
there's
attic.
the thunder.
Yes, and then the dramatic reveal of attic.
Yeah, no, that made
And
me
then we
chuckle.
lose power because that's just too scary. This is the scariest room in the house. Don't scare me.
Oh my God.
And I like Phoebe. I'm going up there. Ouija board spells out attic. I'm there in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I'm ready to meet a ghost. I'm ready to meet a demon. I'm ready to get my powers. Okay?
It's also so funny because when I watched this and took notes, I literally just wrote 3 sisters bickering with very bad hair.
With very bad hair. Hair could be worse.
Oh my God, it's not bad hair. That's like being harsh, but
Very 90s hair.
it's something. It's bizarre. To
And not
me.
the
It's
good
just
end of 90s hair.
strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
My
And I
God.
also love about this that, like, you know, we can see that 90s style of like, we have flashlights. We're not
know.
using our
Yeah,
iPhone
that's the
for a
best.
flashlight. I'm so sick of that. I want a real flashlight.
mean,
and we got
yeah.
the house phone. It's not working because we lost power. I live for that.
Yeah, that's the vibe.
There's
We
no
wanna
help for us.
Live in a world where there's no phones. I
Yeah.
love that. We'll be frozen there. Oh, also, just a shout out to, we got to look this up because I forgot, but like whoever did the set design was really just
Serving.
absolutely smashed it.
The house is great.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
This is like exactly what.
This is like how I wanted to live.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, I was obsessed as a child watching this. I was obsessed with I wanted to live in this house,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
love the concept of living in a house with your sisters. And that's what's funny is I'm literally doing that.
Yeah.
I live in a house that looks vaguely like this house, and we have decorated it more to look like that house.
Basically, yeah,
And we
without
live
even
together.
realizing it, to be honest with
Just
you.
sisters living in a house.
Yeah, just witchy sisters living in a house.
Yeah,
Except
and
for
we're
I
witches.
have yet to get my powers, so
Yeah.
still
That
waiting
is
on
what's sad.
that. But
Yeah, we
what can
haven't
ya-
we haven't found our family book of shadows yet, but I'm still holding out hope. But
Yeah.
the attic door magically opens.
Yeah, and we are finding the Book of Shadows.
Yeah, honestly, the most famous book of shadows ever, probably.
Oh my
Other
God,
than
for
like
sure.
Hocus Pocus.
Well,
but that's more so like a book of
that's-
spells.
yeah.
Not so much a book of shadows, I would say. But this is like the iconic book of shadows.
I just love how, and I like honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I relate to this. Phoebe is like in this space in her life where she's like, I got nothing going on. Somebody delight me.
I got nothing to
somebody,
lose.
somebody fuck me up. So it's like she's just like, I'm just gonna read
Oh my
this
God,
out
she just
loud.
starts
This
saying it out
spell.
loud. She doesn't know what the hell it even is. She's
She's
saying
just
shit.
like,
She's just
and I
saying
know,
it.
I know you're gonna have things to say about.
Oh, I
this,
will. You know
especially
I
the
will.
the end of this.
Oh, you know I will.
The ancient power. Bring your powers to we sisters 3. We want the power.
Give us the power.
Okay, pause it. Listen, I got something. My name is Jasmine Masters, and I got something to say.
Oh my God. This is
So-
just going to be various Drag Race references. It's going to be like movie show references within
Yeah,
show
references to other shit within this
Yes.
shit. So you know, dig through it. If you understand it, you should be commenting. I understood this reference because you're a real
Also,
one.
if you can follow every reference we make throughout this journey, then you are a strong person.
We are leading parallel lives. Yeah, you are a strong-willed individual.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this little like incantation something or other that Phoebe reads from the book that gives them their powers, unleashes their powers and returns them to them. Oh my God, it kills me because it starts off so good. So this is what I wrote it down. Hear now the words of the witches, the secrets we hid in the night. The oldest of gods are invoked here. The great work of magic is sought. In this night and in this hour, I call upon the ancient power. Bring your powers to we sisters 3. We want the power. Give us the power. What? It's like it starts off so good. It's like got that rhythm. It's got that vibe you want. And then it just peters off into give us the power. Like, come on. It's like, did you just give up at the end? You got tired and you just wanted to be done.
I know, or were they
And
like,
it's
we have to like spell this out for the audience.
yeah, it's like, what kind of, and like, this is supposed to be something that's written like by their ancestors. And it's like, what kind of lazy
right,
shit?
like Melinda
And,
Warren in the 1700s or whatever is like, give us the power.
Exactly, give us the power. It's like, okay, come on. It's like a whiny baby being like, give us the power. We want it real bad. Give it to us. And I literally, like, I rewrote this, first of all, and I will tell you how I fixed it. But as a person who likes writing actual real life, like prayers and like spells and rituals and things, oh my God, you want it to flow. You want it to have a rhythm because you need the energy to build and build and build. You don't want it to just break off with, we want the power, give it to us. But I rewrote it. Bring your powers to we sisters 3. We want the power, we beseech thee.
Yeah.
Much better. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
But
Well,
anyway.
that's where it helps to have like maybe like actual witchcrafty doing people. You know, whatever.
Yeah, if
I
only.
also just love how Phoebe basically just like reads this very
concept.
suspicious thing, and like they don't give consent to be part of this.
She's just including her sisters
Whatever,
in this
that's
little thing
fine.
she's doing.
Yeah. And this
So silly.
It's also kind of funny because, you know, I do feel like Phoebe actually, like, if you want to get all deep in sistery, like, is the one who really wants them to be
Witches?
a family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting
Yeah,
too.
like she like in true
she's
baby
like, oh,
sister
in a
style,
weird,
wants
yeah.
everyone to be really close.
Yeah, and this is basically a way of forcing it.
Yeah, it's like
not
we're
only the
trapped into
magic, but
this-
like forcing the. Yeah, and I also
yeah, even
love
like the
that-
photo, like they all magically get closer when the magic gets unleashed. You
yeah.
know, in the photo, it's like
It's not just about
true.
the witchcraft.
yeah, it's about the family.
Yeah. And then we see Mr. Suspicious.
Yeah, our magic has been
gazing
unleashed.
upon us.
And
Yeah,
Mr.
he
Stabby
knows.
Stabby,
Mr.
he might
Stabby
stab
Stabby
us.
boy. Oh, here we go. My favorite music. Dingle dangle dongle jingle.
That's the name of the song.
Pretty
That's
sure.
the name of the song. Yeah, and Phoebe's like ready to jump right into this.
Oh, she's
like,
ready.
I'm a
She's
witch.
like, I'm a
let's
witch
go.
now.
And I
Oh,
agree
yeah.
with her. That's how
And
I feel.
We have this little joke about
Oh my god,
which
we're making broom jokes.
Yeah, it's funny because, you know, anytime there's like a broom joke or like a wart joke or like whatever, I'm like
my
annoyed.
God.
But then I was thinking, you know, like devil's advocate, like I mean that is the langle, wowza, the angle, the audience is coming at. You know, like that's the witchy.
That's their understanding of witches.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in this scene is where we start to learn about Melinda Warren, right? Their ancestor, who was like their first witch in their family, allegedly.
Right, because Phoebe starts doing
And how
research.
when she was kind of burned at the stake, classic. When she was burned at the stake, she proclaimed that eventually, like every generation of Warren witches would get stronger and stronger, and then it would culminate in the birth of these 3 sisters who would be the most powerful good witches that had ever lived. And this is Phoebe learned this from the Book of Shadows. So we're getting this anthology. We're learning about where these powers are coming from, and I live for it.
Yeah.
And like Phoebe, I'm ready to jump into that destiny, that call. And her sisters are like in denial. They're like, we're not witches.
Oh, in the next scene, we get introduced to Prue's career as an art curator and
and I
stupid
live for
Mr.
it.
Glasses. Sidebar, first of all, I give all of the men, which, you know, mostly white men in this show because it's the 90s and you know, for whatever reason.
Diversity's not
also, in the 90s, all
They
of the
weren't
men
focused on
looked the
that.
same, which is fascinating.
Oh my
I mean,
God,
I
yeah.
guess I could still say that. You know, I just struggle. I am a lesbian.
She can't tell any
Yes.
white men apart.
As a lesbian, I cannot tell men apart, and so I give them names.
Silly nicknames.
Yeah, because she knows. Sometimes we'll be watching something, and I'll be like,
Who's that?
"Isn't that guy from that thing?" Or "Oh, I saw blah, blah, blah," or "I've never seen him before," and she's like,
And I'll be like,
"What?"
we saw him a couple scenes ago. He's so-and-so's brother. She'll be like, what?
Right. So my point is, Roger to me is Mr. Glasses.
Ah, Mr. Glasses.
Right. And
And he's an ass.
Yeah, obviously, I can't stand him,
Complete
but.
douche.
I will say, I love that we made Prue an art curator. I
Oh
feel
my
like,
God,
you know,
it's
like
so
this
good.
show does a way better job than like Buffy, even though, you know, I'm not saying like Buffy did a bad job. Like I think
Well,
they
'cause
were
they're
kind of
also
like,
in
it was
high
supposed to
school
be a
at the
joke. They were
beginning.
like, whatever. They just didn't want to put the energy into like giving them jobs that mattered or like were,
Yeah.
you know, long term, you know, they just didn't have careers.
Yeah.
They were too distracted with vampires. But, you know, this is very rooted in like, it's kind of like their work is always their priority because it has
and then
to
the
be.
witchcraft is like an annoying
Yes,
burden.
it's like a thing that gets in the way of existence.
Yeah.
But I love this job for her. I feel like this is not a normal job people write for someone.
Yeah.
It's really in line with things.
And it
also
really
like
makes sense with Prue's character.
Yeah, it also creates like witchy story opportunities.
Yeah, because
which
there
I
could
like.
be a demon in the painting. There
Yeah.
could be a demon in the vase.
It could be anything.
Yeah, and it fits the overall vibe. Like our house is really beautiful, and then our job is really beautiful.
Yeah, there's beautiful
I love
things
it.
everywhere for sure.
It's good.
My end sidebar about this scene though is
Oh my God.
who looks into the eye, directly into the eye of a exploded ballpoint pen. I don't.
He was asking for it.
Yeah,
LOL.
it's so good. Stop. Oh, and then we immediately get introduced to Piper's job.
Oh, yeah, and it's serving
Which is
Gordon
also
Ramsay.
good,
It's
yeah.
it's serving Top Chef.
Oh my god.
You know why are chefs so mean? It's food. Chill.
I know
We should be enjoying
It's a
this.
weird cultural thing. I
But
guess.
yeah, we're having this little what is it like a
They're
little
very
audition for
uptight.
this chef boy?
audition.
Little chef audition.
Little chefy tryout. And this is also, I think this scene is like a really good, like, this is why Charmed really did so well, because it didn't take itself too seriously. You know, it's like there was this understanding that like, okay, we're going to do magic, but we're going to serve you drama, but we're also going to take our little powers as like an opportunity to do silly, like real world stuff. Like
Yeah.
she bastes the little,
Oh my god, yeah, she uses her powers on accident to freeze him mid bite. And she bastes the seasoning onto the bite before he comes back to reality. And honestly, this is why I wish I had this power.
oh yeah.
Because you could fix something in the last
Yeah, is that the power you would want? The freezing power?
I mean, yeah, I'd probably want that. I just
Yeah.
feel like, especially as an autistic person.
Oh, totally.
Like when something uncomfortable
Yeah,
happens, to be
yeah,
able to
yeah,
just
yeah.
freeze and like, or like to be able to freeze and then like stim a little bit, or like, you know, it just
Or
like,
even
releases
like
the
when
tension.
someone, you know, I had that experience recently where like I was like on a tangent. I was like really intensely explaining something, and then a teacher like interrupted me, and it totally threw me. And then it was like kind of embarrassing because I like couldn't get my place
my God, I
back
hate when that
because I had
happens
been
to
in,
me.
you know, so I could have frozen the room
everyone
and
and just
composed
taken a
myself.
moment.
Yeah. And then just come back and been so articulate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Or like
that's
I
our-
could use it to not be perceived in public.
I will
like
say,
I
though-
could freeze the room and then walk through and then unfreeze it and be
Yeah.
like, okay.
What power do you think you'd actually get if you were? Do you think you'd get the freezy power?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
I see. I would
Because
want.
the powers I most want aren't here yet.
Okay, true and fair. I just know that I would
Wink,
get
wink.
the premonition power because I'm like
Yeah,
the
you
sensitive,
probably would.
empathetic one. But
And,
I
like,
don't
it has
want
to do with
it.
other people.
Yeah.
I feel like that's very you.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's unfair.
But also like Prue's power, and we've talked about this
Mm-hmm.
because this is another thing that I rant about. You know, like if this show was made now, I feel like Prue's
Oh,
power
we'd be doing
would be
brutal things.
Like Prue's power is so strong, and we just like graze the surface of it throughout the show. Like if she can move things with her mind, she could take a man's heart out of his body and hold it in her hand.
Right.
Like she could do that, or she could hold somebody. Like she could hold them down. She could hold their arms behind their back.
Yeah,
and
we
keep them from
basically wouldn't
moving.
need any
Like,
other powers.
she literally would be the most powerful
But
person
that also
ever.
wouldn't be very interesting.
I mean, it's true. Yeah,
So-
and also like that would be borderline evil.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a wasted opportunity. We could be really messing with people. We could be
Yeah.
doing like Dexter style, using our powers for good by murdering
But also,
people who
like-
deserve it.
I like the amount we do use how like this is the scene with her and Mr. Glasses where she like really tells him off,
my
which also
God.
that really does
It's
it for
so
me.
good.
And you know, if this show were made now, it would all of these sisters or some of them would be bisexual, and it would be so much more interesting. Like, come on, make everybody in the world bisexual. Why not? But I love that she's just like accidentally choking him.
Oh my God, his tie almost kills him, and I love it.
Yes, great.
It's great.
Kinky. We love it.
Now we get good old payphone action.
Oh my gosh, they like
can't
don't
believe
have
payphones don't really
anymore.
exist
Which is
anymore.
also kind of crazy. 'cause
Seems like a
what
safety
What about an
hazard.
emergency? Anyway, that's a payphone digression.
Oh, and then we see Jeremy in the
Mr.
flesh.
Sweater.
Jeremy.
He could be Mr. Cheeks. It's hard to decide.
Mr.
But yeah, Mr.
Cheeks. I
Cheeks.
kinda like that.
But I love this casting, and I love everything about this because it is so like they are doing everything they can to make it like he's just a boring baby boy.
He is boring.
Not interesting, boring baby boy. Don't
No
think about him.
person
Don't think twice about Jeremy. Jeremy's just there.
Jeremy, oh, he's just Jeremy.
Right. So I love that.
Oh, and now Phoebe's riding her bike around. It's the most 90s vibe. She's just having a good bike time. I live for it.
Yeah,
I wish
a
people rode their bikes
bike ride,
more.
not the best time to have a premonition.
Yeah, I would be concerned. But we're having our first premonition where these boys are going to get hit by a car.
I also love this.
Oh my God. And in this moment, Phoebe becomes a
professional stunt person.
professional stunt person. She skids on her bike to save these boys.
Listen.
And I don't know about you, but I have never successfully done that. And I don't think I could if I tried.
I know. You don't know what you could do if you had just become a witch and in the moment you just knew.
Maybe my instinct would take over. Maybe I'd be amazing.
Right.
You never know.
Yeah. She also just like sacrifices her body. Like, you know.
Yeah, like
Oh my
fully
gosh.
could have died.
Important tidbit. At the end of that scene with the bike, there is one little shot of the kitty, and the
cat.
kitty goes meow. And I want to say that this, you know, again, you got to give it to the actor cat, because when my dog Atlas heard that meow,
Meow.
he perked right up. He was like, "There's a cat here
Oh my
in
God,
this
good
room."
acting
And
on
is
behalf
the
of the
cat
cat.
in the room with us?
Is the cat in the room with us right now?
Yeah.
Love
Venus
that.
didn't buy it because, you know, she's too smart. But he was like, "There's a cat."
was like, "Oh
So,
my
you
God."
know, it's 10 out of 10 actor cat.
This actor cat deserves an Emmy.
I love this little hospital scene with Andy and Prue because
We're seeing the ship.
yes, we're seeing it. It's sailing. Number one, Andy, Mr. Hare. I do tend to call him Andy though, just because I like him. He's a good boy. But yeah, and it's funny. His hair's not even distinct, but for some reason to me, he's just Mr. Hare. Yeah, when we were watching it, we watched this all the way through recently with our friend Josie. Shout out Josie.
Well, we haven't finished. We haven't finished the whole show.
Oh, you're so right. Yeah. Well, we watched Buffy all the way through, so that's what I was thinking of. But yeah, we're like mid Charmed with our friend Josie, and when we watched it this time, for some reason, I just was like, he's Mr. Hare.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
that's his new nickname.
That's him.
Andy's new nickname is Mr. Hare.
So sometimes I will call him Mr. Hare. But Mr. Hare and Prue, they just have really good chemistry. And
They do.
so, you know, it's not easy to play history like this, where it's like you have to convey to us that like y'all know each other.
Yeah, for like a long time. Like,
Yeah,
since high
and
school.
like it's a whole thing. So I love that.
Yeah, they do have the energy.
It's
of, like,
really
people who
good. Yeah, like you
dated
would
and
think
it didn't work out,
yeah.
and they might date again. and,
Right.
like-
There's something going on there.
and like everything in me wants to not like this relationship. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I am who I am.
Yeah.
But I just like it.
He wins you over.
They're cuties.
Well, the thing is, too, I think Shannon Doherty does a really good job, and the writing is really good because she's like seen as this sort of like hard ass person, but
Yeah.
around Andy, she gets like very soft and
That's true. Yeah.
flirty, which I
Yeah.
like. It's balanced.
Yeah. At this point, everybody has used their powers accidentally. But the only person who has not actually seen themselves accidentally use their power is Prue.
Except
which
for
is
now.
very accurate because she's the most cynical
When
one.
we're making coffee,
We're making coffee. We're having coffee at the bar.
right?
Is it a coffee?
I thought it was a coffee.
I'm surprised it took us this long to break out into an accent.
Oh my gosh, you're so
Quite
right.
honestly. But yeah, Prue's gonna witness her power for the first time, and honestly, we're doing it out in the open at a bar. We're very lucky nobody noticed.
I know, it's so funny. Yeah, that was a coffee, right?
Yeah,
No?
I guess it is.
Okay. The important things. So
She
we're
was
focusing
milking it with her mind.
our podcast, focusing on the important details. Is it a coffee
Is it a
or
coffee?
is it not a coffee?
What's in the cup?
What's in the cup? Oh yeah, and there's this line that's, with how much you hold inside you, you should be a lethal weapon by now, and that is so true. That's just accurate.
That is very correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now we're kind of losing it because we saw ourselves use our power, but we still kind of are in denial. Mm-hmm. But not Phoebe. She's into it. She's like, I've been waiting for this.
Yeah, and Prue's like so resistant. She's like, you know what? I've had to do so much my whole life already. Like,
Yeah,
if
she's
I
like,
have
"Leave
to
me
have,
alone."
if I now have to save people from demons, like
She's like,
I'm
"Come on."
quitting. Yeah,
Like, what kind of sick, twisted joke?
sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
and this scene's good.
I was gonna
This
say, you
scene's
want to
pretty
talk about
good.
this action?
This scene's pretty good because Phoebe brings up the Wiccan read because, you know, she's been reading the Book of Shadows that they found in the attic. And so she's been kind of researching and studying up on this shit. And this is actually well written. She uses the correct Wiccan read, which I am happy about. You know, she says, in it harm none, do what ye will, which is correct. That is the Wiccan read. But where we kind of peter off and I start to get a little bit annoyed, but also, you know, this is nitpicky because people don't know and blah, blah, blah. But it does bother me. You know, in this show, we're going to be using the words Wicca and witchcraft interchangeably, which is, you know, couldn't be further from correct. You know, Wicca is a religion. Witchcraft is a practice. You can be Wiccan and not be a witch. You can be a witch and not be Wiccan.
Well, like as an example, I'm pagan, Wiccan.
Yeah.
Those are my beliefs.
Yeah, that's your religion. That's how you like see the world.
I mean, recently this has changed somewhat because of my own whatever people I've met, experiences, blah blah blah. But up until this point, I really haven't been big on like spells,
like
ritual,
practicing
witchcraft.
Yeah,
because that's completely separate.
Yeah, that's its own thing.
Right. Whereas for you, they like came together.
Yeah, I kind of got into all of it at the same time.
Right.
And so I decided to identify as Wiccan and practice that religion and start practicing witchcraft all at the same time. But that doesn't make them the same thing. And in this show, we're going to act like it's all the same thing.
Right. Which, I mean, you know,
which is annoying. But, you know, I acknowledge that like the majority of people have no clue what those words even mean, let alone that they're completely different things.
Right. I mean, I guess, but that's like the problem, isn't it? Like, I mean, I've seen them talk about how like, you know, a lot of Christians get like kind of up in arms about anything magic related, whatever. And then on the other side of it, people who are pagan, such as we're proving right now, get up in arms about the misuse of things or things not being correct. So they like intentionally kind of chose to create their own mythical universe and like lean more into mythology than real paganism and Wicca. But I think the problem there just inevitably becomes people do now associate those things with like Buffy or Charmed,
shows like this
which just kind of makes us seem like more of a joke. When in reality, like these are some of the oldest belief systems. Like these are
paganism.
Like paganism is those beliefs are like right in line with, you know, like the indigenous Native Americans beliefs and like basically all really old, untouched, tribal based. Living, that was the way it was, you know what I mean? And then like, you know, the history of like, you could do your own whole podcast special episode about the history of how that all happened. But you know, when you actually know how that all happened, you know that there was like a lot of intentionality behind, you know, making paganism into a joke.
Yeah. And that's and shows like this continue to perpetuate that narrative.
But again,
and
at the same time,
but I will say, and I've said this before on my channel, if you're listening to this on my YouTube channel, then you know this already about me. I got into Wicca because of Willow Rosenberg.
That's the thing.
So that is, you could argue it's like, sure, they're spreading misinformation. Sure, they're like poking at the tip of the iceberg when there's so much more to the concept and the whole.
But at the same time, like I'm glad it exists.
But it did bring me to something that's been very important to me and is now a big part of my life. So like we're just inevitably
going to talk about it because it is relevant to us and because it would be like, oh, this is a big part of my life. So I have to say to you like, hey, this is not how this is.
Yeah, and I like picking apart stuff that I love.
Same.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not like I'm talking shit about it because I have a problem with it. I'm talking shit about it because it is a hyperfixation so much and I'm autistic, so I'm like gonna talk about it.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
gonna talk
look
about
at it from every angle.
It's my hyperfixation. I'm gonna bring it up. I can't not rant about it. And I'm sure we'll talk about this more. This will come up in future episodes. But something that's so interesting about this show is that it's like Wicca and paganism and witchcraft, but through a filter of Christianity.
Which is interesting.
And that's
we'll
why
get into that.
It's so weird. And again, you know, I'll explain that more in future episodes as it comes up in the narrative. But it's just so weird to see, like, because they don't fit. They're like polar
They're
opposites.
fundamentally incompatible.
Yeah, and it's like, so when you like jam them
we
together,
can also
it's like
get more into this in episode 2 because that becomes like Piper's storyline in episode 2 like really lends itself to that discussion.
Yeah.
So we're getting back to Mr. Cheeks.
Mr. Cheeks.
And Mr. Cheeks, Mr. Sweater, Jeremy, a man of many names.
And he's acting like a predator.
I will say though, this is what I love. I love the parallel that we can draw between like a lot of the time the guy that really seems the most like, you know, like those guys who are very like, I'm a nice guy, or I always get friend zoned, or like, look at me in my sweater, look at me with my cheeks. They tend to be the ones that are like covertly abusive and scary, like the ones that will turn and all of a sudden they're like, you know, I always say to my straight friends that I will like your boyfriend once you guys have a fight, and he doesn't immediately drop into monstrous comments and behavior, because I have just found from witnessing, like as the lesbian best friend to many straight girls, I have just witnessed how you can think a man is so great, they can seem like such a nice guy, and then the second you have a fight or the second they don't get what they want, they turn into a monster, which is ironic because here this is Mr. Cheeks. We've been fed this whole episode sort of like, look at this boring baby boy, look at Piper's boring baby boy boyfriend, and suddenly he's a monster. But before the full monster, I do just have to say, I love this silly little pharmacy scene because why does Prue
Oh my God.
ask this man where the aspirin is?
Yeah, she has no clue.
You can't find the aspirin?
She's never even heard of a drugstore.
She's never been out of the house.
This is her first time on Earth. This is her first day
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Earth, and she
yeah.
doesn't even know what aspirin is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, gal, maybe it's with the painkillers. You know, like the whole aisle
also
that
like-
has nothing but painkillers.
Girl, you're not looking for something niche. You just want some aspirin.
It's just an
It's just
aspirin.
aspirin.
Maybe I'll take an aspirin around noon.
I hate you. That's a reference inside a reference. Okay.
Different
oh my God.
90s movie. That's movies from the 90s, right? I'll check that.
80s, 90s? I think early 90s. I don't know. Maybe I made that
early
up.
90s.
But
But yeah.
then, we're exploiting.
Yeah, we're making Prue mad,
Yeah,
so she'll
which-
use her powers.
For
and
sure.
of course, the thing that makes us mad is the concept of our daddy. Because who doesn't have dad trauma? Am I
know.
right, ladies?
Literally,
Am I right?
hearing dad that many times would also make me throw a bunch of medicine from the shelves. Like everybody's got something with their dad. Either they're terrible, they're absent, or they're dead.
Yep.
Or
Those are the
they're-
three.
The
big three. The big
terrible,
three that
absent, or
dads
dead.
Terrible,
Yeah.
absent, or dead.
Yeah, shout out to good dads.
Tad. Terrible, absent, or dead.
Yes, like my dad, for example, dead.
Dead. In case you wondered,
In
our
case you
dad,
wondered, dead.
Dead. Shout
Oh
out to
my
you, Dad.
God, he would laugh. He would laugh. Okay,
And we would laugh.
and we would chuckle.
Oh, man.
Oh my God.
I need a
Anyway.
nurse.
I know.
Okay. Now that that's done.
Oh my gosh, this elevator scene is like one of my weird childhood like memories of this show. I don't know why.
very
It's
vivid.
like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's because it's spooky. I think it's because this is like a big turning point.
Yeah, it's a big moment for Piper.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're getting in this spooky ass elevator, and I don't like it. Even before anything happens, I don't like it. Who goes to a warehouse with a guy?
Oh my God, I know.
I'm
yeah.
sorry,
I
I'm
mean,
going
here's
home.
the thing. What do you mean? She trusts him. He's the good boy. He's Mr.
Oh my
Good
God,
Boy,
yeah,
Mr.
see, this
Cheeks,
is-
Mr. Sweater.
We're drawing parallels.
Right. And then he just turns.
And then he knifes us.
He
He pulls a knife on us. And we think he's being silly at first. But guess what, ladies?
What do you
he's
mean being
never
silly?
being
Yeah,
silly.
like he's never being silly.
He's never being silly.
No, but I also love. Why did his face have to go all stupid?
Oh my God, it's like a TikTok filter.
I love
it's like
it.
a
Yeah.
Snapchat
No,
TikTok
I love it
filter.
though because they're
It made me
clearly,
laugh.
yeah, they're trying to figure out.
It reminded me of in Psycho when they reveal Norman Bates' mom in the
right,
chair.
and it's not scary.
And it's like,
yeah.
but it's like the most hilarious fake mummy
Well,
you've
that's
ever
kind
seen.
of like when you watch. Oh my god! The light
God, his
fingers,
flame
his
hand.
flame hands. There's a lot of flame hands in this
He's
episode.
got little candle fingers.
Yeah, little candle fingers.
It reminds me of birthday cake.
Shout out Mr. Candle Fingers.
I love it. Is it supposed to be scary? Because it's
But
giving me like...
but like what you were saying before, it's also like The Exorcist. Like I remember when I watched The Exorcist,
yeah.
like my mom had said, like, "Oh my god, it's the scariest movie I've ever seen." When I saw it as a teen, I don't know why I'm acting like that's how my mom sounds. That's not
She's
how
a
my mom sounds.
old British lady.
Yeah, I don't know.
What was that? I don't know what my
Yeah, I
accent
don't know
was.
what that was either. Anyway, so I remember her. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Holy hell, ADHD. Call the
Bing, bang, boom. It's like a pinball
yeah,
machine.
call the fire department. Bing, bang, boom. Anyway, holy hell, we're going somewhere. We're trotting along on our horse. We're gonna get there. My mom said, "Oh God, it was so scary." And then me and my friends sat down to watch it, and we're laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
That shit is funny.
it's like
so it's
when
just
you've-
like when you're the first person to do something,
It's crazy.
it's gonna look silly later.
Yeah,
which
and
I
it's
love.
like if you've been because like our generations, we grew up with like special effects and
Yeah,
CGI
yeah.
and like all this shit, and so our threshold for what's scary
Yes.
is like crazy high.
Yeah.
but I can imagine like watching this and having
Real
never
spooky.
seen like I've done that filter to my own face like
Uh-huh.
50 times every year. And it's like, if you've never seen a guy's face suddenly get all contorted, you're like, oh, but I'm like, ha, you look
Right.
silly.
yeah.
But yeah,
But-
he's gonna stab us.
He's gonna stop. He's gonna light us
Luckily,
on
we
fire.
use our power on accident.
He's gonna
and
light
we
us on
freeze
fire
him.
with his little finger hands.
Oh my
Finger
god, I
hands?
just love when his face gets all contorted.
I know.
And then his face when he's about to stab us,
Uh-huh.
he looks so silly. He's like, "Ah." I also have a lot of intrusive thoughts. When Piper climbs out of this elevator and it's frozen, I'm like, we're going to get our legs amputated right now by this elevator. I'm very scared.
Like that's the threat and not the demon with the knife.
Yeah, that's what I'm focused on is the elevator. That's the real
See,
villain.
a demon, he's supposed to be a bad warlock.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a naughty warlock. And I will say, I do want to point out, again, I'm the spiritual rant gal.
Mm-hmm.
Warlock is not a term that's meant to be like inherently
good
negative.
or bad. Yeah,
It's not like if you're like a lot of people identify as warlocks, and that basically just means they practice magic or sorcery or whatever they like to call it. So I just like to say factually, warlock doesn't mean you're evil, but in this show, it does. So another little tidbit
for sure. We're back with Phoebe and Prue
in the house.
And what are we doing? We're
waiting. Piper's about to run in and be like, guys, something crazy happened.
right. And normally, I can't imagine that though. She couldn't even give him a little cell phone call.
Yeah, she
Demon
can't like
alert,
text him and
warlock
be like,
alert.
help.
Jeremy just attacked me.
She's just, Jeremy.
Just wanted to warn you.
Like, did she run home?
I think she had her car.
Okay.
Or no, maybe she.
No,
didn't.
they were in a taxi.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a huge oversight.
Yeah, like she just ran
That's
through
fine,
San
though.
Francisco.
That's not actually important. Oh wait. This is my favorite.
Oh my
thing.
God, yeah. He calls us a bitch.
Oh my God. He says, I'll get you, you bitch. And then he does the bounciest, most non-urgent run.
He's going for a jog.
Whoosh,
He's
whoosh,
just going for
whoosh,
a little
whoosh.
jog.
That's what the run is like, but it doesn't line up. And I just love that.
Oh my God.
But you know what? He's a warlock. He's got the upper hand. He's not concerned. He's like, I don't need to
Yeah, he's
rush.
just
I'm going to
like
do my nice bouncy jog.
Yeah, I guess it's like when a serial killer just walks to chase you. You know, they like in a scary
Why
movie.
is that so accurate though? They do always
No,
walk.
they
They
just
just walk.
walk.
They
Like,
know,
you
they
know.
got you.
They're like, I'm gonna get there. Don't worry. You run all you want. I'll just walk.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're doing this spell.
Oh yeah, we're doing our first
We do
official
our little
spell.
spell.
And I have to say, you know, again, I have to
It's
say this
good.
is pretty good. It's like a classic banishing spell.
Yeah.
You know, they stab him with a little rose thorn on a little puppet, and then they bop it in the little cauldron, and they set that shit on fire.
Yeah.
But it does not work.
Right.
It does not work.
I will say too, like, you know, this is all very specific in the script. Like, I was curious about that. Like, I was curious how much of it was like we're playing with special effects, like, or you know, I could imagine a writer writing something that's like, and then these vanquished, but like, you know, who knows what that, you know.
Yeah.
But it's Constance Burge was like very specific, like, oh, there's
It's, like,
thorns that come out of
descriptive.
his face, or like,
That's really cool.
you know, that very endy scene, with the death, with
the
the great
vanquishing?
death. It literally says like fire becomes a swirling vortex of
Fliffer.
Fire becomes a
Whoa.
swirling fire becomes a swirling vortex of flickering dust. Something hurricane from hell. I'm like, oh yeah, that's
Wow.
what they accomplished that.
No, and I have to say, when those thorns pop out of him, I'm spooked.
I'm spooked.
I think that's like the
love that.
scariest part. That's alarming to me. I don't want that to happen. That's scary.
Yeah.
And then luckily, Phoebe has a vision that it did not work. And he's still coming. And if anything, they made it worse because now he's pointy.
This moment is so good. Why are we running to the
Oh my
front
God.
door? This is what we're gonna do. We're under attack.
There's a demon on the way.
Sprint to the front door. Open it. Turn around. Don't even look
Yeah,
at who's
don't
there.
look out the front door. Just open it and then turn around and hope nothing's there.
Right.
Like an intruder's coming. Let's go open the door. Mm-hmm. Not a good choice. Not a good choice.
Yeah.
But we're starting to learn how to use our power a little bit. Prue uses her power intentionally to flick him against the wall.
We'll give him a little flick.
It was a little bit of a smack, which is good. We're getting there. And then we're going to board the door because apparently that's going to work. Bless their hearts. When has a...
I mean, but like, come on, you got to do something. Like, there's a demon chasing you. You're not just gonna be like, come on in. You're gonna be like, I don't know. I'm gonna try to make it a little harder.
I guess it's understandable.
Right.
But yeah, then this scene, this is one that's like, I think it's ingrained in everyone's memory who likes Charmed. But for me, like, I remember being a kid and watching this scene, like with his deep, scary voice, like,
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous.
like that's
yeah.
in my brain.
It's like being on the
And then
mummy
this
ride.
Image of the three of them standing there in their little formation, like, you know, getting ready to fight for the first time. Like that got
oh
me
yeah,
going.
for sure. That
As
gets
a kid,
you going.
that got me going.
Especially because like, you know, coming full circle in terms of the whole like feminism versus non-feminism in this show.
Yeah.
I don't think as a kid I had seen a lot of
Oh my God, none. I haven't
three
seen it at
women
all.
are about to fight you know, in this case a demon, but you know, a man.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna fight and they're gonna kill him.
Yeah.
I also do love, quick sidebar, the whole, you know, he slides everything.
Oh my
he's
God.
giving drama. Okay.
Yeah,
it's
he's
about
serving.
the drama. He slides everything out of the way slowly
Yeah, all the
with his
furniture
little
that
demon
they
voice.
barricaded the door with
And then
just dissolves the door.
yeah, he could have just done that the whole time.
coulda
But
just done that to
no,
begin
We're
with.
not going to do that. Yeah,
But
yeah.
nope, we're drawing it out. We're
We're
making
serious.
it spooky. And we're engulfed in flames. And that's, again, scary. I don't like flames. Don't threaten to light my beautiful house on fire.
Yeah,
That's
not
just
cool.
off limits. That's not cool. And we're realizing our power of 3. We're using it. And how this bitch thought to say this, I don't know. But you could argue it's in their blood. It's in their DNA.
Yeah.
So they were just like, you know what we do? The power of 3. You could also argue that their ghost ancestors were with them, urging them to
You're
do
so right.
this.
We are in the attic.
So I don't really have a problem with it.
Oh my God. And I will say,
Our first vanquish.
you know, I'm really passionate about the deaths, the demon deaths.
Oh, you love them.
I love them. I love, you know, like I'll act them out. It's serious. You know, you don't need special effects. You just need me to spin around. In this case, this one
She
would
does
be
her
hard.
own
I would
special
give
effects.
this one like a 6.5 out of 10.
This vanquish?
Yeah, because it's not that good.
I feel like
it's
we're
a
we're
poof.
setting the stage.
Yeah.
They're gonna get better. You know, this is our first little explosion.
Right.
But yeah, we vanquished our first demon. We're not little baby witches anymore.
Yeah, we've killed someone.
Yeah, we've killed a guy.
Oh, and then I love this little buttony scene. I love Andy.
Little button.
Well, that's what it's called. It's a
Yeah.
little button. It's a little button on the end.
She's using her actor terms.
I don't even know if that's an actor term. I don't know. Andy is so cute, and I would never
Yeah.
say that.
They're
He just shows up with
together.
his little coffee and his little sunglasses.
They got their
He's
cute
just
little
like, hi, I'm
chemistry.
here. Yeah, it is cute. I don't understand though when Phoebe comes out. When they all come out,
Oh my God.
Why is Alyssa Milano holding the cat that way? Has she never
Oh
held
my
a cat
God. It's
before?
like she's
I wanna
afraid of
call
the
her.
cat.
Me with her number. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
my
gonna give her a
God.
little call and be like, Alyssa Milano, have you ever held a cat?
Do you know
That
what a cat
the
is?
one thing I will give to the original Phoebe. She was
knew how
holding
to
the
hold
cat,
the cat.
correctly. Yeah, she was supporting him
Yeah,
fully.
she knew how to hold the cat.
Yeah, you know that cat's just like, damn these actor bitches.
They
You
hold
don't
me
hold
correctly."
my back legs.
Yeah, his legs are just dangling
They're
there.
just
He looks all
dangling there.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Cat's rights.
Yeah.
I'm that cat's lawyer.
Oh my God! But
And
even
the
in the
exercise
script,
wear.
it's so cute. But in the script, that's in the script. Like
That
Phoebe's
she's
wearing trendy exercise wear.
I live for that.
Yeah. It's cute.
Good old, and this is again where I start to think about, because, you know, some of y'all might not know this about me, but I dropped out of fashion school, and I have half of an associate's degree
Wow.
in fashion design.
Wow.
And something I will tell you is it's so creepy to me that I am wearing bike shorts right now. Like Alyssa Milano and I are wearing the same shorts,
Right.
just in a different iteration.
Yeah.
Like fashion comes
Things
back
come
around,
back around.
and all these 90s, 2000s fashions are coming back. And honestly, I like some of them, but I'm scared of a lot of
Well,
them.
let me tell you
I
something.
saw somebody wearing jorts.
I need to tell the Gen Z something
My
very
gaucho
serious.
pants.
Oh my God, don't bring up gauchos ever again. I need to tell the Gen Z something, and it's very serious.
Tell them.
We will not be going back to wearing low-rise jeans.
Oh, you
Let
can
me
fuck
tell you
off.
why. These are not, number one, your butt crack's going to be out. And maybe some of you teens, maybe that's trendy right now. I don't know when I got
I don't
old.
want to see your crack.
But no, it's not even about that. It's uncomfy. You're uncomfy.
uncomfy.
Just be honest with
I
yourself.
need somewhere to put my
Also,
uterus.
Here's the thing. If you're a person who was born with biologically female genitalia and the internal parts as well, you do not need to be wearing no low-rise jeans that smash into your uterus and your ovaries. Okay,
the
I don't know how
waistband
this
goes right
became
on the
a
uterus.
rant, a Jordan rant about low-rise jeans, but this is my level of passion.
It was
about
bound to
this.
happen.
Okay, so anyway, no low-rise jeans. That's the end of my TED talk. That's the end of the episode. Love the little end where we close the little doory door. We
Oh,
got
yeah,
a little twinkly twinkly song.
Yeah, Prue closes the door, the door to the house with her powers, which is like a little, you know, a little nice little moment. We're going on a journey, beginning of a nice journey. Come
Yeah.
along for the ride.
And it's honestly such a good little pilot.
And it might come back around later.
Yeah,
It might come back around.
Oh my
Closing
God.
the door with magic.
Oh
yeah, and then we get our
dingity
Dingity dong song.
Right.
Love it.
It's so good. Anyway, that's
Can
the
I
first
just say
episode.
one completely unhelpful thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Please,
Like I haven't been
please.
doing that the whole time. Every time that Aaron Spelling's name comes up on the credits,
You think of Legally
all
Blonde.
I hear in my head is, I grew up in
Bel Air, Warren.
Yeah,
Across the street
from
from Aaron
Spelling. And I hear that every time. And I just have to say that because I want
Absolutely.
you all to hear it as well.
I understand.
But that's our first episode.
yeah.
Something Wicca This Way Comes. It's
Yeah, if you stuck with us, then you are a strong person. And I respect
you have just endured a lot.
something beautiful.
Something beautiful, but it's a lot.
Yes, it's heavy and it's a lot. And
And we hope you join us next time on The Power of Two Will Do Nothing for You.
yeah, also follow us on all the things.
Yes, follow us on TikTok and Instagram at The Power of Two Pod. There's going to be a lot of silly content on there.
I am gonna do my favorite deaths, and you know
Yes,
what?
she's
You're
gonna
not gonna want to
recreate-
miss that.
She's going to recreate every
because
vanquishing.
I am very talented at
You
at
will-
niche things.
You are going
like-
to watch this.
You are going to watch this.
Yes.
Me spinning around and screaming as I do not burst into flames, but we'll figure that part out. Okay.
Yes, well, we do some silly bad editing maybe on my
for
part, 'cause
sure.
that's where I come in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so follow us on TikTok and Instagram. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. These episodes are going to come out every Thursday. So new episodes of the pod every Thursday. Don't forget, because I know you care a lot about listening to this. And you can also listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review. And if you don't want to give us a 5-star review, then just don't even bother, because I don't need you to say anything mean about me.
Oh, here, check this out, y'all. Anything
Oh my God, check it.
anything mean you want to say, I want you to take it to your journal. And anything mean
Save it
mean
for
you
Oprah.
might want to say, I want you to keep this in mind. There is nothing you can say to me that will be meaner than my own internal dialogue.
Exactly.
So just don't bother. I'm
think you
not
can
even
hurt my
kidding.
feelings?
Right. Like, I don't. Also, I mentioned my dad is dead. You can't hurt my feelings. You know, that shit is bad.
And if you knew the story behind it,
Oh, also, if you are watching this on YouTube, or even if you're not, you should go watch the video where I eat a peanut butter sandwich for the first time.
oh my God, no. Yeah, that's in the Dropbox. If you're watching this on YouTube, that's in the Dropbox. Jordan eating her first ever peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah, because
She
like I
never
said,
ate one
oldest
as a child.
daughter, nobody occurred to treat me. It never occurred to anyone to treat me like a child.
Nobody ever, for just 1 penny a day, you could get this grown-ass woman a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because she's never had one. No pennies.
No pennies. Okay. Anyway.
Okay,
bye.
anyway. Well, thanks for listening, and maybe you'll be back. Maybe you will.
Maybe say come back, or
Else.
we'll curse you.
And bye. The Power of Two Will Do Nothing for You is a Vanderland Productions podcast hosted by Jordan and Madison Vanderland, produced and edited by Madison Vanderland. All featured charmed audio and video clips are registered to the original copyright holders.